All right, so last video, I had to take off my Geno Smith jersey. Getting dislikes left and right. But yeah, this one's going to be week one, running back, tight ends. My last video was wide receivers, quarterbacks. And the big question this week is how can you stack Le'Veon, David Johnson together? So I'll give you some insight on how to do that, who you need. So I gave you some wide receivers that were cheap. You can just go to my channel and look at the other one. So it's one where I'm in a white Jets jersey. So I'm like the only guy with the Geno Smith jersey. I don't even think Geno Smith has that jersey anymore. But yeah, don't base me off my jersey. I'll keep doing these videos. Like I said, I was expecting like 20 views, and then I got a bunch. So a bunch for me. But pretty much everyone seemed to like them. Some guy said he was taking advice from a Jets fan. We're going to go 0-16, and then called me a derogatory word based off of sexual orientation. I'm not, but he just based it off of my Jets jersey. So I don't know you can get someone's sexual orientation off of a jersey, but I guess that's why they took the Chargers out of San Diego. So sorry, bad joke. I like the Chargers. You guys will be good this year. Anyway, so I'll get right to it. These are running backs that I like. Of course, I'm going to talk about David Johnson and Bell, but these are other ones that I think will do just fine and little pivot plays, different ownership, stuff like that. So DeMarco Murray is one of my favorite running backs this week. In DraftKings, he's going to give you those extra points for the catches. He's a great pivot off of Bell and DJ just because whenever he's fully involved in the offense last year, he got a little banged up towards the end of the year last year, but whenever he's fully involved, you're looking at his ceiling was 20 points or 25, 26 points, and his floor was 20, 22 points. Like every week, he's getting 20 points, consistently 20 points. Whether you play PPR in your league or DraftKings, whatever, FanDuel's half PPR. But yeah, he's amazing. He crushed Oakland last year. So it's going to be a high-scoring game. They're going to run it right up the middle. I already said they're going to run up the middle. They're a run-first offense. They got enough weapons there to keep defenses committed to the not just committed to the run, also committed to the pass. So Oakland really did nothing to help their run defense last year. Brought in a big body. I forgot his name. Majority of you guys wouldn't know it anyway. Oakland fans, I'm sorry. But I don't think he's going to be enough. But it's going to be a tough test. So we'll see if their run defense can stop the run. So I like DeMarco Murray week one. It's the game script, game flow. He's always going to be on the field. It's not Derrick Henry's backfield yet. DeMarco Murray is still amazing. So Derrick Henry will eventually take over the backfield as Murray gets older, but they start limiting his touches. But as for right now, no reason to. Jordan Howard, he's going to be low ownership. He's going to help pivot off of that really chalky plays. Even DeMarco Murray is going to be a chalky play because people are going to play Murray and Gurley with one of Johnson or Bell. So I like Jordan Howard. You got a new quarterback. New system for Mike Glennon. Still a great offensive line. He should get you 20 touches. Atlanta last year gave up 104 yards a game and 15 total rushing touchdowns. So pretty much average 100 yards and a touchdown a game to opposing running backs. Like, that's amazing. I'll take that all day. If the game script allows, then I think Jordan Howard's going to get his touches and he's going to do just fine. He's going to be extremely low owned. Vegas put him at -7. I'm saying all week. I don't know. They probably will win by a touchdown, but I just don't see this being a blowout. That's a big line for Vegas, but luckily with NFL, there's usually always close games. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Jordan Howard's still going to be heavily involved. Atlanta wasn't good against the run last year. They grabbed Dontari Poe, which I said in my last video. Kansas City, a rookie, outplayed him last year. I think he's still great, but he didn't do much for the run defense. They didn't improve it much. But he's going to be extremely low owned, and he still gets catches. So in DraftKings, he's really good. He's priced fairly. He's priced right in that little sneaky range of right around DeMarco Murray, right below Murray, right above Gurley, and he's just flying under the radar. He's below Devontae Freeman, and people I'm not hearing anything about him. So I'll take it. Anytime you can go up against an opposing defense that's bad against the run and he should get 20 touches with a good O-line against a bad D-line, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, how do you beat that Falcons offense if it's the same offense? Take the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands. They could score quickly, but I don't see them doing that. So I like Jordan Howard. of course, now I'll talk about the big two, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. You can't not play him. Like, you have to. I don't need to go over stats. I don't need to go over why I play him. I don't even really need to take too much time. I am big on Palmer, Fitzy, and John Brown this week, so I think they're going to have no problem throwing the ball. I think they're going to have no problem moving the ball down the field. I don't think this is going to be David Johnson gets 30 touches. They don't need him to do that. Not week one. Like, they should throw the ball down the field, no problem. But I mean, I tried to look for any sort of reason to not play him, and other than I think Palmer being able to throw the ball just fine and not needing David Johnson, this game script to flow around him or through him, because he was fully healthy, and well, the rest of Arizona wasn't. So yeah, a lot of the offense ran through DJ, but it's not like that week one. I'm not even going to try to get you guys not to play him. Definitely play him. This is more so of not just how do you play them both or other running backs to pivot off of. So he's going to get you yards. He's going to get you catches. It's almost impossible to fade in DraftKings, at least. Maybe in FanDuel you got a better case there because you get that half point. But I don't think you could really fade him. So, and maybe in GPP for those mass tournaments where you can try to fade him and get the advantage if he only gets you 16 points or something bad for David Johnson. And like a Shady or, LaShawn McCoy, Todd Gurley, Devontae Freeman, Jordan Howard, DeMarco Murray, if those guys get you 20 points and David Johnson only gets you 16, yeah, you're good. Fact of the matter is I don't think all your lineups are going to be able to have both Johnson and Bell. You got to pick. If you had to pick one, go Johnson. I would pick Johnson, but they're a flip of the quarter. I just think Carson Palmer is going to do very well this week. 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. I like Carson Palmer, so David Johnson, I'm not going to build all my lineups around him, but he's way too high of a floor for me to fade him in cash games. Same with Bell, and he's way too high of a ceiling to not use in tournaments. So it's like don't make it too easy to fade him. But Le'Veon Bell, he's going to get you 30 touches. Like, that's insane. You talk about David Johnson might not getting 30 touches. Le'Veon Bell will get 30 touches. The thing is, so I could find a little bit of stuff on why I didn't totally like him. He had 6 away games last year. 3 of them were very, very good. 3 of them were absolutely horrendous. I don't need to keep going on about all that, though. He's still Le'Veon Bell. I think DJ is a little bit more consistent, but Bell has a slightly higher ceiling. So I guess you can kind of use that for your tournaments and whatnot. Bell gets more touches on a per game basis, so he's slightly better for DK. The only thing is you have to justify their price. When I say them, I mean both Bell and Johnson. For this running back, you have to get at least 2 times the points for their price. So meaning that they are like 9.3, 9.4 thousand. So yeah, you got to get 23 and a quarter up to 24 and a quarter, depending on the site. You have to get 23 to 24 points per running back. Yeah, you can do that, no problem. But that's like 2.5 point value, and that's what you need, and that's what you're probably going to get. So if you can find any sort of running back that's going to get you 23, 24 points, let me know. The only way to justify this, the amount of money you spend on these 2 running backs will probably give you 40-point floor, 65-point ceiling. That's massive. So if you get that just that floor alone, what are you giving up in the wide receiver game to gain that, or the quarterback or the tight end or whatever? And if you're giving yourself a 14-point Carson Wentz, that's what I think he's going to get you this week. Or I would play Zach Miller in the tight end slot or some cheap wide receivers like I talked about last week. But if you're not getting points from the rest of your lineup, is David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell in both slots for your running back, is that really worth it? Especially in DraftKings, that's hard to do. I was making up lineups with both of them, and it was like, cool, you have $400 left for a flex. And I was like, I couldn't even put the Jets defense there. So, you can play them on a week-to-week basis. The amount of money used on these backs severely limits the rest of your lineups. So, like I said, I broke down wide receivers and some quarterbacks I like. You pair him with Brian Hoyer, but are you going to win a tournament with Brian Hoyer? No. I like him this week, but you're not going to win a tournament with him. So once again, I go to my guy Carson Palmer. So I gave a few stacks in my other video of Carson Palmer with Bell Bryant, Carson Palmer with just David Johnson and Bryant to get off of Bell. So just different ways to access these running backs and not have the same amount of chalk or same amount of ownership as everyone else. Just try to differentiate your lineups. So yeah, you're up top fighting for those spots, whether it's a small tournament. I play more small tournaments. So they're considered cash, but I play 1,000 entries or less, and I try to take down these small tournaments, 500 contestants, and that way it's easier for me, and I can still anywhere from $5 to $25 entries. I do multiple of those. You're winning anything from 250 to 650 first place. I'm fine with that. A lot of people. So for these pros that play fantasy sports, they're doing tens of thousands of dollars a week, and they're making all these algorithms and they're inputting everything and they're making lineups. That's their job, and they're pulling down these massive tournaments. People can't commit that type of capital, those assets, that time and money to do this. So, and I know I can't. And so yeah, I play smaller tournaments, and that way it's still fun for me, and I still can pull in a little bit of money to make it more fun. So yeah, I try to help you guys out as well. Usually that's like the average fantasy player. I don't think it's realistic to do these $1 and $2 tournaments with 250,000 people and think you're going to win. Like it's not. So I think most people do those heads up 50-50 smaller tournaments with like a few entries in some huge tournaments, but try to help you out with some differential plays. Todd Gurley, if the Rams offense can move the ball, he's not going to be low owned. He's going to be higher owned this week. A lot of people like him. Todd Gurley's mad at himself for last year. They got a new offensive coordinator. They got a new defensive coordinator. They got a new team, and they're not playing Andrew Luck. They're playing Scott Tolzien more than likely, even though they just traded for Jacoby Brissett, like freaking Patriots. But yeah, he's got a solid price. But remember, the Rams offense at home averaged 12 points a game. 12 points a game. Like, a new coach isn't just going to come in and all of a sudden this offense clicks in a matter of a few months. It's just not. You can still stack it in the box. I still don't think the Colts are a good run defense. Rams have a decent offensive line. I think it's bottom 15, but Colts run defense isn't good. Todd Gurley is going to be a chalkier pick. He's going to be higher owned, but he's got a solid price, and he's going to get 20 touches. Just, man, that offense. There's nothing there. So what? You got Sammy Watkins. Like, I don't see enough from Jared Goff, and until I see more from Coach Sean McVay, I'm going to use Todd Gurley in some tournaments and more in cash lineups. But I'm not going to have massive exposure to him like the rest of the people. Just, even though he gets his touches, you can't do much with it when you got 8 people in the box. LaShawn McCoy, I talked about him before. Jets stuffed him last year, but he's heavily involved in the offense. Coach McDermott came out and said they're going to do whatever it takes to win. If they got to give LaShawn McCoy the ball every time, like he said, it doesn't matter. Another article came out about Rex Ryan, how hurt LaShawn McCoy was all of last year. Well, LaShawn McCoy's always hurt, so he's fine right now. So play him while you can, I guess. Smoke him while you got him. He's a solid pivot play off of DJ and Bell because he gets you those catches. He has this massive ceiling. He's got a very solid floor. Even though the Jets defense is a really solid run defense, the Bills should be able to score, and the Jets shouldn't. And if the Jets can't score and the Bills need to run out the clock in the second half, touches for LaShawn. Touches turn into yards, yards turn into points, yada, yada. I think LaShawn's a good pivot play. Not too highly owned. Carlos Hyde, mostly cash games. You could use Hyde if you want. He's a roster a solid tight end or one of those running backs or a solid wide receiver. So if you want to use Bell and a running back, Johnson and a running back, then you can use Carlos Hyde or Bilal Powell. They're kind of the same 2 running backs in my opinion. Bilal Powell is going to get you those catches. Hyde's going to be involved in the offense. He's going to get you catches as well. Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman last year were used in Kyle Shanahan's offense like this. He hands off the ball, sets up the play action. He throws to the running backs. He opens up the field side to side and stretches the field. Carlos Hyde's going to be heavily involved. And until he's hurt, he's a good play. So same with Bilal Powell. They're going to have to run the ball. The Bills' run defense is atrocious, and they just lost 2 more run defenders, good run defensemen. So I think Bilal Powell is a good pick as well for this week. More so in DraftKings again, good flex play. I like Carlos Hyde and Bilal Powell. So because of both their price, they are good GPP plays if you can fit in those big tight ends this week. Jordan Reed, Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham. Because in DraftKings, you got Zach Ertz and a couple others I'll talk about, but that's it. And we lost some players this week with Tampa Bay and Miami. So yeah, I think Carlos Hyde, Bilal Powell, good flex player, a good running back too. If you want to roster one of those big running backs with a big wide receiver. So once again, that makes your lineup different. So I just don't see people. They're going to be picking Johnson and Bell, and they're not going to have money for anyone else. If you pick one or the other, and then you play your lineup accordingly. So if you pick David Johnson, try to pick Martavis Bryant with the Carlos Hyde or Bilal Powell. If you pick Bell, you pick Carson Palmer, John Brown, Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, something like that with Hyde or Powell. I'm going to make a few of those lineups, just mix and match those guys. And I think both in cash and GPP, just depending on the players I'm using, like my John Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, Brown, GPP, and Fitzgerald, more cash. But stuff like that, just once again, changing the lineups, giving access to those big guys while still not having the same lineup. Devontae Freeman, Chicago gave up 121 rushing yards per game, and they gave up 18 rushing touchdowns for the season. That's big. I think it's going to be a little bit closer game. He's going to be used, different coordinator. He might not get those same catches in the backfield. We don't know. But even if this guy just comes in, runs a regular NFL pro-style offense, try to do 60% in the air and 40% on the ground, like Devontae Freeman's a good running back against a pretty weak run D. I like Chicago's defense overall, but they are susceptible to running backs. So I think Freeman is very touchdown dependent, though. That's my only thing. I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to him. It's going to be interesting to see how the new offensive coordinator uses him, especially if they use him as these running backs as pass catchers, especially with Tevin Coleman split back there. I think this is more of a GPP, that big tournament play, just because he's priced a little higher than the rest. He's up there with Murray or a little bit higher. So he's higher than Gurley and these other guys, Jordan Howard and stuff, that are getting looked at or not with Jordan Howard out, I think. But I think he's getting overlooked because of his price. And anytime you can get, I say this for everything, anytime you can get a good player for low ownership, you take it. So I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to Freeman, and that's going to be my fade from a Bell Johnson lineup. I'm not going to do much of it. I'm not trying to tell you not to play Johnson and Bell. There's no way that I would say that. But if you're sick and tired of hearing them, only those two, and you want to play something else, then yeah, like you can definitely do that. As for my tight ends, I like Jordan Reed this week. Like I said, until he gets a concussion, forgets his name, he still knows how to play football. Jimmy Graham, Zach Ertz, Delaney Walker, and Zach Miller. I listed a lot of expensive tight ends. So you might have to use those running backs that I mentioned, Bilal Powell, Carlos Hyde. But Jordan Reed, if people are playing Terrell Pryor like I think they will, very high ownership because of his price, especially on FanDuel, then you cannot play Terrell Pryor and play Jordan Reed and play another cheap wide receiver there. Play Jordan Reed, and you have a skill position tight end. You got a massive advantage right there, assuming he goes off. I like Jimmy Graham, depending on who you listen to. I was listening to one of the main podcast guys. Two of them were going back and forth. One really liked Graham, one didn't. I like the guy who said he liked Graham. I agreed with all his points. So either me and him are going to do good this week or we're not. And he was a Yankees fan. The other guy was a Boston fan. Sorry, hate the Sox. But and you guys stole our signs. What the heck? But yeah, I like Jimmy Graham this week. Green Bay is not good against the tight end. They didn't do anything to fix that. They still got a really young secondary. They still forget that there's more people on the roster for defense than Clay Matthews. I mean, I like Clinton Dix, and they're young guys. I like them, but I just don't see them stopping Jimmy Graham when Pete Carroll said he's going to use him more of an offensive weapon instead of a lineman. He's probably just as good as the rest of our offensive linemen, but still. Zach Ertz, and DraftKings, everyone's going to play him. His price is super cheap, but how can you not play him? He's very involved in the offense. I think Josh Norman is going to just follow Alshon Jeffrey. Like it came out and said articles talking about Alshon being followed by Josh Norman. Then you got Nelson Aguilar in the slot, Torrey Smith playing your wide receiver. No thanks. I don't think they can run the ball well, even though Redskins have a weak run defense. So Redskins gave up, I think it was like 21 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns last year, maybe 19. You could play LeGarrette Blount as a cheap running back to get you vulture those touchdowns like he always does. I don't know. I haven't really thought much into it because I want catches, yards, and touchdowns. I don't want just one guy for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns, although obviously I'm going to take that. But Zach Ertz, it looks like that's all Philly really has left. So in DraftKings, he's going to be played heavily owned. I'm thinking 40, 50% ownership. Tight ends are expensive this week. There's not many tight ends. So I don't really see many tight ends that are actually usable this week. You might have to pay up a tight end. So Delaney Walker, he had an amazing game against Oakland last year. Still a focal part of that offense. Still really good. So I don't see an issue with Delaney Walker. Once again, you're just paying up for a tight end. It's really just a crapshoot on which one. Do you pay for Reed, Graham, or Walker? Which one's going to do well? And that's tough. With all 3 of these games, not so much Washington, Philly, but with Green Bay, Seattle, very high implied game scoring wise. Same with Oakland, Tennessee, very high. Speaking of a high scoring game, 2 tight ends, Atlanta, Chicago. I like either one. I like Zach Miller more than Austin Hooper because Atlanta was horrible against the tight end last year, and Chicago wasn't horrible against the tight end. And there's more weapons on that offense in Atlanta. And Cameron Meredith went down. Kevin White's probably going to be followed by Trufant. I know Trufant usually plays right side of the field, I believe. I forget, but still, they got Kevin White. We don't even know if that guy can play football anymore. And Kendall Wright. So, Mike Glennon likes to go to his tight ends. He's also a new quarterback. That new system. He's not a new quarterback, but it's a new system for him. We saw what he's done with tight ends in the past. Not bad at all. So I like Zach Miller. You could also play Austin Hooper. I just don't like him as well. A lot of people like Greg Olsen this week. Nothing wrong with it. Just I think their linebackers and they're so athletic the way they can cover the field. I just really like their draft picks that I feel like their defense can cover tight ends. Now, that hasn't always been that way last year, but I don't really like Greg Olsen that much. They got Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, a fully healthy Jonathan Stewart. Cam Newton's heavily involved in the offense. Maybe he won't run as much. I don't think he's going to. They're going to limit his touches like they did last year in his goal line touches. But you still got fully healthy Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah, you got Devin Funchess. But you have weapons there. And yes, until Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess is Devin Funchess. But until Curtis Samuel gets the offense and a rookie running back isn't going to, I think he's going to have a good game. He's another one that you can use cheap, like that Bilal Powell, Carlos Hyde. I'm just really interested to see how this offense works. And it's very, very hard to go over to San Francisco, travel all the way to the West Coast. That's why they have historically played better at home. Even when they were horrible, they still had solid games defensively over there. Not always. Like, I think New Orleans went in there and crushed them. But, San Fran's, I don't think they're just going to get walked on. I like the team. I like what they're doing over there. And I don't really care for Greg Olsen, not at his price. I'd rather have Jordan Reed, Jimmy Graham, or Delaney Walker. Tyler Eifert. I don't really care for him either. Baltimore's a really good defense, but he's heavily involved in the offense. So if you guys comment and you're like, you're crazy, Tyler Eifert's a great pick, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. Like, John Ross is a rookie, and you got AJ Green, which is a huge pick this week for wide receiver. I'm going to sprinkle him in just because everyone likes him. But Baltimore's defense is really good. These games are not high scoring with Baltimore-Cincinnati. Cincinnati has an atrocious O-line, which usually means you have to have the tight end block or you have to dink and dunk real quick. Find the tight end open in the middle. He can get you catches. I just don't see this being a high-scoring game. I don't see Tyler Eifert. He's touchdown dependent. I don't like it. Once again, I see other picks. A lot of people like Martellus Bennett this week. Go ahead. No, thank you. Green Bay doesn't really utilize the tight end well. Everyone just remembers the Jared Cook catch, and that's pretty much it. I like Zach Ertz. People don't like him in FanDuel because he's so cheap on DraftKings. That's fine. I'll still use him in FanDuel just to get low ownership from Zach Ertz. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I don't really care too much. I liked Cameron Brate this week. He's gone. So I like Zach Miller, like I said, Austin Hooper. I don't really care for Jack Doyle, but when you have a new quarterback come in and shaky offensive line, you dump it off to the tight end. So you could get your catches there. So, and these are only main slate. These are only Monday night games. These not talking about Sunday night games. So I'm leaving out Thursday night. I'm leaving out two of the best tight ends of the game, and I'm leaving out Monday, which Saints forgot last year that they had a tight end, and then Kyle Rudolph, the touchdown machine. So I'm leaving off. Those guys are out of the board, but I don't really care for anyone else. I don't like the new tight ends this week. No one likes David Njoku. They all like Evan Ingram and OJ Howard, but like I've said in my other video, I think David Njoku or Njoku, whatever, is going to be the number one rookie tight end. So there's only 5 of them, but 3 are fantasy relevant, which they all have 0 points right now, but 3 of them are drafted very early. So yeah, I think David Njoku is going to be the best, but as of right now, that doesn't matter. Like, I don't really like many tight ends this week. So just real quick, I think you got to pay up, which means you're going to have to use one of those cheaper running backs or cheaper flex or cheaper quarterback, unless you give up the wide receivers. So it's going to be hard to do when you have 2 huge running backs this week. It looks like you're going to have to go cheaper receivers, which that's why I did a different video on receivers and quarterbacks. I don't really know how to pair them together, but I didn't want to make like these hour-long videos, which my last one was 45 minutes anyway, so that doesn't help. But hopefully that helps. Let me know if you guys like any different tight ends and why, because I'm having trouble on tight ends. Like I said, Jordan Reed, Jimmy Graham, Delaney Walker, Zach Ertz, Zach Miller. That's it. That's all I'm seeing. And they're all expensive, -1. So help me out. Comment. Let me know. Yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoy. Good luck this week. Thanks.